It is not easy by any means to go to an event and feel like, wow, I'm on this fitness journey, I'm on this health journey, but I also want to enjoy the food at this event that I'm going to. So most of us face this all the time, whether it's going to a work event or a family event or a kid's birthday party where there's amazing cake. I'm going to show you exactly what I do to kind of navigate through these choices and decisions that most of us have to deal with on a daily basis while being on our health and fitness journey. So I hope that you can take away some of these tips and tricks. So number one, I did eat prior to showing up to this event. So as you can see on this drive in Baldwin Hills up to this event, I ate before. I made sure to have some lentils, some bok choy, some avocado, and a protein shake. So it was small, light, and tasty. So I'm showing up not super hungry to where my eyes don't end up being bigger than my stomach, and then I eat up everything at the event, and then I feel bad and have stress after, right? So this event, really, really cool event, merging and bridging the gap between New Orleans and Los Angeles. There's a lot of history of New Orleans history of people migrating from the South over to Los Angeles. And because of that, there's a lot of that amazing New Orleans food and music that is actually hovering in different pockets of Los Angeles. So there was a jazz festival really highlighting that fact. So this is the front of the event. This is my business partner and the founder of Afrikicks, who I work with for his nonprofit organization, his 501c3, Giving Shoes Back to Africa. So if you want to check that out, also go to Afrikicks. I'm on the board for the charity as well. I'm the COO of this charity. So we were here networking and really, really promoting and getting connections for our event, for our gala dinner coming up September 13th. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know down below in the comments. But that was the flyer of the event. So yeah, that's why we were here. I'm really, really excited to show our support for the LA Jazz Festival, highlighting New Orleans culture. And as you know, the proof is in the pudding with just the name, New Orleans. New Orleans is known for their food, right? So I was like, there's no way that I'm going to show up to this event hungry, because if I do, this was actually a vegan hors d'oeuvre. I don't really know exactly what it was called, but it was like a bunch of vegetables like meshed together and seasoned really well. So it was actually really good. They didn't have many vegan options, so that usually happens when I go to events in LA, which it's fine because there's always at least one or two vegan options, but there wasn't many, which was actually to my benefit because I didn't have to struggle with like, okay, do I have to turn down a bunch of food? Do I not? But there still was food to turn down. Some fried dishes that I just decided to pass on. It was getting chilly out there, so I did grab a cup of coffee. They didn't have tea. I'm usually a tea drinker. I do love coffee. I just don't really drink it anymore. I just don't have a yearning or a desire to drink coffee anymore. Not exactly sure why. Maybe with the eating healthier and closer to whole foods, I'm just getting natural energy, so I just don't even have the urge to to have caffeine. But I did, as you can see, it was starting to get chilly. You can see with the steam coming off how chilly it was starting to get. So I was like, I'd rather not freeze. But yeah, so I did have some of this. A bunch of cream ended up coming out. So, you know, whatever. It is what it is. I had 1 cube of brown sugar, and then I did put some stevia. So I had a nice sweet drink. I had one little hors d'oeuvre, which was, again, maybe like 2 bites full. And I had my cranberry juice. I'm not a big drinker, so you did see me with my cranberry juice. And I did have a beignet. So you guys will see the beignets in a little bit. It's basically like a New Orleans donut. I never had one before. So see, the thing is, when you're at events, especially when there's something that's a specialty item or a specialty drink or a specialty food or specialty moment or experience, I'm really big on experiences and enjoying life. So there was no way I was going to pass up on those. I mean, look at that. I mean, she was making them fresh right there. I was like, there's no way I'm not having one of those. So because I had a small tasty dinner prior, I didn't have 3 of those because I am a recovering sugaraholic. And I would have definitely had 3, maybe 4, arguably 4, if I didn't have a dinner prior. So I didn't even set myself up for failure with that. I just was like, I'm going to enjoy one with my coffee and just really, really bask in how tasty it was, and then just cut myself off at one, which it wasn't hard because again, I wasn't really hungry showing up to the event. And I also did work out that morning, and then I worked out the next morning after this event. So just to let you know, that's one of the biggest things, is just to show up not hungry to these events, so that way you do have more self-control and you're not like eating up everything and then really just feeling bad about yourself the next day, like beating yourself up like, oh man, well, I'm on this health and fitness journey, but I had, I ate up everything, but then I didn't want to like not show support. But then, just, it just can become like an anxiety moment, and I just feel like when you show up to these events not hungry, it kicks you out of the pressure, because it's like you're being involved and showing support and enjoying the activities and festivities and snacks, but you're not like overindulging. So it's a good balance. So again, there's Omar, check him out, Afrikicks on Instagram. We do have our gala coming up, and I also will be showing some of my gala, just like the planning up until the event. So stay tuned for those videos as well. Also, I talk a lot about sugar cravings and how to get over sugar cravings, so you're going to want to check those out as well. Just click some of the videos in my playlist. As you can look at those beignets, guys. I mean, they were just like, ooh, but I had one and I was good with just one. So, I mean, the second.
What are these?
Minatone.
Minatone?
Minatone.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So that's what it was. It was called Minatone. So I'd have to really research what that was. But if anyone knows exactly what that was, definitely let me know down in the comments. But it was really good, and it was vegan, was plant-based. So also, this is going into the speeches portion of the evening. We had some amazing councilwomen that showed up and gave some amazing speeches. So definitely listen up and stay tuned. Trigger alert, there was some controversial things said in some of the speeches. So just want to let you know, I'm not here to, my channel is not here to really discuss politics, but I do want to highlight some of the really, really dope things that LA is doing when it comes to bridging the gap between New Orleans culture and LA. So definitely stay tuned, listen up, and enjoy.
They've been doing a great job. So with that, we are just so delighted.
Hanging out here quite a bit in the years to come. It is my honor to introduce an incredible panel. I want to call it the Black Woman Magic panel, but at the risk of being annoying. But I want to introduce you first. She is, I
Do both. One, bring a jazz festival to Los Angeles, working with, we're 51 years in New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. And so we know the roadmap and we have a model, but it was just something that he envisioned, of course, working with the councilwoman, and here we are today. But the city of New Orleans, and through the New Orleans Cultural and Tourism Fund, we have become a major sponsor for the New Orleans stage that will be a part of Los Angeles Jazz Festival 2024. You got a great taste of that as we brought our brass band, our young people down, and second line Shorty and the like, and Irvin and Mark, and so here we are.
and of course my councilwoman, Heather Hutt. Tell me why, I know we were joking that everyone asks us if we're from New Orleans just because we're light-skinned. But we'll take it. Tell me why this is something you fought for and why you think it's important to recognize, the music and the heritage of New Orleans here in Los Angeles.
I believe it's important to acknowledge all of the heritage that comes along with the tapestry of this city, especially at a time when we got 32 states trying to erase our history and our books, that we can't stand for that here in Los Angeles. So we're going to mark everything we can. We mark all the territories. We did Malcolm X route on Crenshaw. Today we did New Orleans corridor. In July we're doing the Oaxaca corridor. in my district, I have Koreatown. I have all the littles. I got little Ethiopia. I got little Bangladesh. I'm going there next. So I think it's important that the culture is not erased. And it's not for us because we know where all that stuff is. It's for the future. It's for our children. And so when we have an opportunity in government to make a mark so that the future knows where we've been and what it took to get here, that's what I'm doing. That's the work.
Love it. Speaking of the future, you know, we're talking about the past, the history, the music, and why it's important and why we love it. But you tend to focus on the future. Certainly, that cruise looks like the future manifesting in the moment. Tell me, tie in the whole, you know, this tech piece and the forward-thinking, you know, space.
All-electric, self-driving companies founded in 2013, just to give you guys a little bit of background. One of the things that I have so personally appreciated about the company is ensuring that the principle of launching with communities and not at them is fundamental in our fabric. And so when we think about launching a place like LA, how can we figure out how to transport people who have not been afforded other options in the past? How do we sort of think about ways in which we can rewrite history as we're building the future of transportation? So you see the bolts outside, but there is a new future vehicle that's being purpose-built. It'll sit 6 people facing each other, and it'll also have a wheelchair variant. So when we think about accessibility, we're also allowing for a cultural exchange of ideas. Not only from when we think about the migration from New Orleans to LA, we think about now the mediums of which we have in our vessel to be able to produce a further cultural exchange. And we think our vehicle is that. It's a possibility to engage with other people. It's a possibility to get to and around other parts of.
Talk about as much as we probably should. Especially, I mean, when we're talking about New Orleans to LA, that it seems to be sort of a two-way street.
Well, definitely so. Well, when you think about the way the Great Migration shaped and reshaped this country, we have a responsibility to not only share the history, but as the Councilwoman said, ensuring that our young people are educated so that we can preserve not only our history, but the culture that is intertwined with it. The city of LA grew 900% with people from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and leaving the Jim Crow South. Now, New Orleans is home to the first, people of color, free people of color, right? But it wasn't for everyone. And so while the Great Migration opened doors and real opportunity, that planted real seeds in the city of Los Angeles. And I always say, hey, when you think about the black folks who still live in LA, they from New Orleans. And everybody listen. No, but in terms of the economic engine of this city, it's right here. So it made great sense, Councilwoman, thank you for your leadership and your vision. Because the people deserve, right, to be acknowledged, to be appreciated for the fabric and their contributions to the city of Los Angeles, but also how Los Angeles has had deeply roots in New Orleans. And so you have I've gotten so many text messages and photos that I had taken today that were shared with family members in New Orleans. And they're saying, that's my auntie, that's my uncle. And that's the fabric of our great cities. And our people deserve to be uplifted. And how New Orleans, no matter wherever she shows up, she brings her culture right along. So the cuisine, of course, the music, how we live, how we love, very hospitable. And New Orleans is the most Afrocentric city in the United States of America. And I think cementing that in the fabric of LA happened today. Thank you, Councilwoman. Thank you.
Home of Congo Square, which we recognize as the birthplace of jazz.
Birthplace of jazz. And it's something that we not only hold dear, but it's something that we share with the world and definitely with Los Angeles.
And New Orleans, you're welcome for Mary Metro. Please do.
I just want to add that music tells our story. It's the way that historically we talked to each other when we didn't have a language. And when we moved it on into jazz and we became freer with our music, we became freer with our language. I think that's what we see from our beloved rappers today, that they're free and they're sharing the story in a way that you don't really want to hear it, but they're sharing the story and it'll live because music lives. Absolutely. So I think it's perfect for you to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you guys are all highlighting is how, you know, the music is a big part of it, the culture is a big part of it. I think you said something on my show, Mayor, that really resonated in my head, which is that, like, the music, and we were talking about this as well when you were on my show, Councilwoman, the music is like our fingerprints, our footprint. It's the footprint of the culture and where we've been. And in that sense, we can't be erased.
That's it. It's the DNA. And you mentioned Congo Square. And in the city of New Orleans, and being that place where black people were free, and had the first free people of color, but they were able to bring their drums. The Africans who were enslaved were able to bring their drums and play every Sunday in Congo Square. So it is a sacred space. And I tell you, when Louisiana was purchased, it doubled the size of this country in land, but also in slaves that went on to build this country. So we have not only a responsibility, we deserve to be preserved because we are resilient.
Absolutely. You know,
To be brought back to themselves, to not be focused on, for us, for not to be focused on driving, and to think about how they are making the best impact on the world. And that is something I think when you get into a self-driving vehicle, I was sharing with a councilwoman earlier, who I'm going to bring in a self-driving vehicle.
Because she's the
you as well.
chair of transportation.
Is that for the first 2 minutes you get in and you're like, there's a combination of trepidation and curiosity and cynicism. And the first 2 minutes you're like, oh my gosh, it's driving by itself and it took a left turn without anyone there. And 2 minutes later, you go back to your phone. Or you go back to the conversation that you're having. And if there's more time to focus on dialogue between people, and there's more time to communicate your thoughts and creativity, then you start to see the chain of events that make the better impact on people. And I think that's something that we're really interested in facilitating.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters is in the house.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Put your hands together. Congresswoman Maxine Waters is here. Whichever seat you like is your seat, Congresswoman. Okay. What an amazing panel. So, I'm going to give the Congresswoman a moment to get it settled, even though she probably doesn't need it. And then, I'll have you, Councilmember Heather Hutton, to answer the question about how you think that, the Jazz Festival, the LA Jazz Festival, and this effort that we've started with the New Orleans Corridor in Los Angeles, how can we bring people together through that?
Music is a language of love. I believe this jazz festival will bring people because of the love. We've been inside too long. We want to be outside. We saw that today. The fire department said about 2,000 people did the second line and went to the jazz. So we want to see each other. We want to touch each other. And I think it'll be a grand unifier. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. If you're from here, like I'm from here, like you are, yeah, I went to elementary school right down the way there at Windsor Hills, so I'm used to this wind. It ain't no problem. So we'll go to the beach, and we're going to do our jazz on the beach, and it'll be the first time ever. It'll be so exciting. That's the beach we grew up on, right, Ray? Where's Ray? Charles Jr. There you are. Yeah, Ray. That's the beach we grew up on, right? And so we're gonna enjoy it. We're gonna invite folks that don't know if you went down Century, you'd be at the beach. So it'll be a good time.
I think we also have to recognize that culture is economy. And for the city of New Orleans, our cultural bears, our cultural artists, our musicians, this is a way of life for them as well. So with Los Angeles Jazz Festival, it opens up an opportunity for real exchange and for dialogue and building community.
Yes.
And look, black folk, majority still live in the South. And so when you make those connections and we're uplifting also brothers and sisters who are still in the South. And that's where the greatest disparity gaps exist in this country, in the South. So I look at it as a twofold win-win-win. Cultural economy, exposing our people to something new. The brass band that came here today are young people from our city who have never been on an airplane.
Wow.
Right? But we're making those connections, and that's education as well. Geography has a lot to do with people, and I tell you, I've gotten messages from their parents saying, thank you so much for having my baby.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, you've been fighting for, well, I call this the South. It's Southern California, but to me, everybody here is from the South. So we try to act like we, urban, but we all country. Come on now. But Congresswoman Waters, I mean, how do you see this? I guess call it a movement, a moment of really marking our historical presence in Los Angeles, whether it be, the Malcolm X on Crenshaw, whether it be what we did today, that corridor, the New Orleans corridor, and I know you've been putting down markers all over this city and county for our history not to be erased for decades. How do you see this?
Well, thank you so very much. This is absolutely a creative and novel idea that Heather, you have led. And of course I support you. That's why I'm here, because I want you to know I appreciate the work that you're doing in order to provide a new kind of leadership in this city. And so, let me just say this. I served on the board of Essence Magazine for years. And I was there when we decided to bring the festival to New Orleans. And when we discussed it at the board meetings about why we wanted to go to New Orleans, it was because of the culture.
29 years ago.
29 years ago. And it was because of the fact that the people in New Orleans really had discovered that they had a way of life that may be different from anybody else's way of life, but it really was the kind that expressed their true being. And so whether it was jazz, and of course we all know Wynton Marsalis and his daddy and the whole family and what they've done for this country and this world with jazz. But out of that has come all of the other genres of music. That's right. And so whether it was jazz that was really the birthplace of New Orleans, we're now in the 50th anniversary of hip hop. And it was not because hip hop was discovered as the first kind of music that we kind of enjoyed and understood and told a story about our lives. It was because they were mimicking what took place in New Orleans with the origination of jazz. And so you brought it to LA now in a real way. Of course we have jazz, but we didn't have New Orleans jazz. And of course, along with the jazz came the food. Oh my goodness. Going to the festival, it was not about, what was happening there, what was put together by Essence. It was about where we're going to eat. Where we're going to eat and what we were going to do. We stay up all night and we go from restaurant to restaurant, experiencing the food. And of course, it was a wonderful experience, not only for the millions of people who have come to New Orleans from all over the world with that festival, who now understand and know what the second line is.
That's right.
And the second line is imitated all over the world. Don't do it well, but we try. And so now the second line is here. And we're going to take from New Orleans what you have created with honoring those of us who have lived, who have participated, who have led us, but have passed on. Yes. We don't just let them be buried. We honor them with that second line. And so I am very pleased and proud to see the creativity of all of this. And I look forward to now, it's not just today, but we've got to do this in the way that New Orleans does it.
That's it.
And the only way we can do this is just copy them, look at them, watch them, and do everything that they have taught us about what a real culture is, that can enhance your being, make you feel good, and give you the opportunity to express yourself. You know, we are so cool, we're so calm, we're so everything, but we're not real. Let's get real. Let's get real. And so thank you for having me here. I was anxious to get here today. It's been a long, long day with all of the Juneteenth celebrations, but this is the right time to do this. If you really want to celebrate Juneteenth, you celebrate it in a way that you understand from whence you came.
Yes.
And how you got here. And so this is what this is all about. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and freedom, right? I mean, that's why they call it Freedom Day, Emancipation Day. I know we're about to wrap this up, but I have to, since we just got Congresswoman Waters on the panel, I'll pitch it to you, and then, you know, of course you guys can close however you want. But I mean, there's been so much controversy about Black people and people of color having access to beaches, right? Whether it be Bruce's Beach or the Ink Spot, or, you know, just the fact that a lot of us don't know how to swim because we weren't allowed to go to the beach or the swimming pool, right?
That's right.
And now we have, coming in 2024 for the first time ever, the LA Jazz Festival.
That's right.
Jazz on the beach. And we'll have a New Orleans stage.
Yes.
It's put that in historical perspective, especially you as, again, a fighter who has been trying to open these doors and opening these doors for us for so many years.
Well, I'm not so sure, but you know, I love jazz, and I have a collection of Miles Davis and Charlie Parker and you know, all of the jazz greats of our time that emanated because of Wynton and his father and that generation that created jazz for us out of New Orleans. But, you know, I'm about not asking permission about what you can do, but telling people to get the hell out of your way so you can do it.
There we go.
Yeah. And so this is what this is all about. You don't need permission. You don't have to ask anybody. We have to be whom we are, and we have to express ourselves. And if people don't like it, the hell with it. Don't like it, but let us be whom we are. We're about justice and we're about equality. We've helped this country to be a better place. And even though you have a low-down, dirty, deplorable past president who has attempted to divide us with his lying and his cheating and all of that, we have to stand up and be whom we are and help people to understand our importance and our value to this nation. This nation could not be what it is today without us and without our input, without our creativity. Everybody copies us. Everybody copies us. And so if you really believe that you're free, act like you're free. Act like you're free. Don't walk with your head down. We don't say, yes, sir. We don't shuffle for anybody. We say, get out of my way. Because I'm here, and I'm here to stay. That's right.
Waters, you say that while looking good in stilettos.
Always.
Goals. Mayor LaToya Kentra, what will you leave us with today?
Well, I'm going to leave you with a little lanyard from the city of New Orleans.
All right.
You know, we talked about no one does it quite like we do.
You know, I'm about not asking permission about what you can do, but telling people to get the hell out of your way so you can do it.
There we go.
Yeah.
And so this is what this is all about. You don't need permission. You don't have to ask anybody. We have to be whom we are, and we have to express ourselves. And if people don't like it, the hell with it. Don't like it, but let us be whom we are. We're about justice and we're about equality. We've helped this country to be a better place. And even though you have a low-down, dirty, deplorable past president who has attempted to divide us with his lying and his cheating and all of that. We have to stand up and be whom we are and help people to understand our importance and our value to this nation. This nation could not be what it is today without us and without our input, without our creativity. Everybody copies us. Everybody copies us. And so if you really believe that you're free, act like you're free. Act like you're free. Don't walk with your head down. We don't say, yes, sir. We don't shuffle for anybody. We say, get out of my way. Because I'm here, and I'm here to stay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Waters, you say that while looking good in stilettos.
Always.
Mayor LaToya Kentra, what will you leave us with today?
Well, I'm going to leave you with a little lanyard from the city of New Orleans.
All right.
You know, we talked about no one does it quite like we do.
That's
We were giving you a promotion right now. So as
And there you have it, beautiful people. Congresswoman Maxine Waters has spoken. I forewarned you that there might be some triggering moments in those speeches. But again, this page is mainly about health, fitness, mindfulness, and how to balance out making the right decisions while you are living your life, while you are going to events, birthday parties, work parties, travel. It is not an easy road to follow when you are trying to still be social and not be a hermit and feel like you can't go anywhere because you have to make all these decisions about not eating this, should I eat that, should I work out, should I drink water, should I drink alcohol. It's not easy. So I wanted to show you guys exactly what I do, kind of the framework and how my thought process is when I'm going through my decision making when it comes to keeping my fitness goals at the forefront of my mind. Also, this is a really cool, one of the panelists were talking about this car that is the future of cars. So this is one of them. Really, really cool hood, or not hood, really, really cool top of the car, the ceiling of the car, tons of cameras. I didn't get to ride in one, but definitely hope to one day.